So jumping right in here, the first thing that I want to show you is a final rendering. It's one of the last things that we do in the design and planning for a construction or like a finishing a basement project or remodeling. So we'll actually generate these renderings, and that is the last step of the design. So after we do this, then we jump into the construction, and then you can actually see here another picture of how this particular basement was built and how similarly it turned out to how it was designed at the end of the design phase. So you can see there's a lot of similarities with the cabinets, the way that the whole layout is, the hallway, everything. You really get a good feel in the rendering for how that is actually going to turn out in real life when it's actually done being built. So just wanted to show you the process of how we get from the very beginning of a design all the way through and the end of construction. So whether you're looking to hire us to build your basement or just looking to get some help with the design, we actually have an in-house design team here in our company that we employ to actually do all this design work. So it's something we're happy to talk to you about if you're just looking for design or if you're looking for a design build fully integrated project. So let's jump right in here. So the first part of the design is the design agreement, and this is just a sample letter of intent design agreement that I put together for this video. But basically we'll have all the owner's information in here, their address, their name, description of their project, and then also the deliverables that we will be doing or providing throughout the process of doing the design. So those will be outlined here. And then we actually sign online, so you can sign it electronically and then make payment for the design services and the upfront portion that there is there for the preliminary design portion. So moving on from this part, we actually go out and measure the space that's going to be remodeled or designed. So in this example, it's a basement finish. And so here we've got all of the dimensions for a lot of different things that are going on here. And from this sketch, we go and actually create the initial floor plan layout. So it's more of a concept to show where the different elements are going to go. And so when we're talking with the owners and we're designing their space, usually they have some sort of an idea of what they're hoping to do or looking to do with their basement or their remodel. And so this is how we kind of lay out how all their goals are going to fit functionally and work in the space that they have. So if there's any changes that we need to make to this or any additions, we can totally jump in here and do that at this point. So once we get that done, we're looking to also make sure that whatever the county or the city that you live in or that the customer lives in, that we're meeting all their requirements for code and including everything that needs to be in their plans in the actual design. So they're complete and ready to go to the city and get all passed off when that time comes. So moving on from there, we'll actually finalize the plans. So this is actually a plan of the existing conditions of the basement, an as-built drawing. So it shows which walls are already in place. And you notice it's pretty open because the basement is actually unfinished. So one other thing that we do at this point when we're actually getting the measurements and starting with this is we actually take a scan of the space. And so here I have an example of this basement, and this is generated by a technology called LiDAR, or a combination of LiDAR and photogrammetry. And so basically it just takes a lot of pictures and uses the depth sensor for the LiDAR to actually stitch all the pictures together and generate this 3D model. So we can take this back to the office and then actually be able to review again where all the existing elements of the basement are. So we can see where these load-bearing walls are and then make better sense of our notes in case anything gets a little bit confusing. So we can actually have that there, and you can see where the stairs are and the existing electrical panel and a lot more details than what you can fit in taking some notes. So this is super helpful for us and our team on the back end to be able to visualize and remember what's going on when we're not there in person. So we've got the initial plan done, and then we actually have the as-built plan done at this point, and then we'll go in and then detail out what's going to need to be added to that to facilitate the goals that you have. So that's the next step, and so this is an example of that and how that all fits together. So in this particular basement, there's a 2-bedroom basement and then a living room with a kitchen. So that's what's going on in this basement. They do have, it's not shown in here. We did not include this in the design just for permitting purposes, but there is the intention to, at a future date, have the ability to add a walkout entry, and that would go here in this basement. So this could become an apartment if later down the road if that happens. So that was also a goal, to keep that in mind for like phase 2. So then from there we'll actually go through and then put the existing supply and air return lines on the ceiling, so you know where the ceiling height's going to change and need to be dropped down to accommodate those existing HVAC lines. And then the next thing here that we do is the flooring plan. So in this particular basement, the owners just wanted all LVP flooring, so that's what's shown in here. But if somebody wanted something different, like maybe a mixture of tile, LVP, and carpeting, then we would show where those all go and where they transition and how those transitions will happen, and then also be able to calculate the quantities for each of those types of flooring. So that's the flooring there, and then we also build a door schedule so that we actually have listed out every door that's going to be included in the project, where it's coming from, where it's going to, the sizes, the type, the material, the finish, the header, the jam type, and a lot of details about those doors and how they work and fit together. So the last thing that we do is electrical plan, and so that will show where the different types of lighting go, whether it's can lighting, surface mounted lighting, LED lighting, cabinetry lighting also would go on this page as well. So we can actually get the electricians really well set up and actually building the electrical the way that it's intended. So on here you can see there's different types of symbols, and there's a legend over here, so you can understand which switches are basically single pole switches or 3-way switches, so that you can turn them off from different places, or if it's just a single location. And then you can also see here which lights are hooked on to which switches and where they're controlled from. So that's the last thing that we include in the design here. And so from there, we'll actually get that approved, and if there's any changes that need to be made, which in this case there was some, in this example there are some changes to the kitchen. They wanted to remove the peninsula and then relocate some of these closets a little bit, and their cabinet closets. So changing things, so we just make some changes, and then the next thing we do is actually produce the renderings like we were talking about. So this is the kitchen layout, and you can see how much space there is around the table and how many people can fit seated there comfortably and how well that space will be used. So there's quite a bit that we can actually put into these renderings as far as detail for moldings, trim, cabinetry. Here we're putting on some crown molding and putting that profile across all those cabinets there. So this is the living room of the same basement example that we're looking at, and so you can see how that fits and how much space there is to have sofas and furniture and things. This is an example of the bathroom. So one thing we can do is we can really dial in the textures and the colors. If you have an idea of exact materials that you want, we can actually build those into these drawings and these renderings so that you can actually visualize what the bedroom or the bathroom, how that tile will actually look, or the cabinetry, for example. So this is the bedroom example, and then this is another project that we did for a basement, and so you can actually see this kitchen over here and the walkout entry, how that comes in, and then this is the example of the rendering for that we did, and then how it actually turned out. So again, you can see really when we do the renderings and we use the plans, we actually are able to build it very close to how it's designed. So the process there is basically we use the drawing here with this information, and I'll zoom in here a little bit on that kitchen so you can see how that fits here. We basically use this information from this kitchen to be able to generate this rendering, and then this rendering helps us build the actual kitchen to really fit that design and what we're going for all the way from the beginning. So we'll go through here and show a few more examples. This is the living room, and then this is how the living room actually was built after it was moved into and decorated. And then this is the bedroom, and this is how the bedroom actually turned out. And then this is another project of a different kitchen, and then how that kitchen actually turned out. So you can see it really turns out really nice to actually put in the work to planning these things out, so you can anticipate what you're getting and how it will actually be. And understand there is some variables and some things that don't, like for example, these colors aren't quite spot on, but with the samples, physical samples in person, that also helps you get an idea of what the colors are going to do, because colors are very hard to get in the renderings. So this is the bathroom rendering, and then this is actually how that bathroom turned out. So then the last one here that I have is the laundry room, and then how the laundry room actually turned out there. So these are some of the things that we do in the design process. And so if you're looking to get some help finishing your basement, you can reach out to us on our website, danzydesignbuild.com, and you can schedule a consultation there. If you're looking to get some plans done for your basement, we can also help you with that. We'd love to talk to you. Thanks for your time today, and have a wonderful week. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.